There we go. I had to make sure that I wasn't muted again. I keep forgetting, make sure I'm not on mute. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome to Explain Like I'm Five. I am Susan. With me today, I have Kelly, aka Godless Granny. How are you doing today?
I am fine. Thank you for having me. It's
Of
enjoyable being here.
Yeah, of course, of course. I've been actually as I feel like I tell everybody this, but I'm always excited to talk to people. So I am very, very excited to talk to you because, in case anyone is not familiar with your content, it is definitely worth going and watching and subscribing and everything. So
Thank you.
go subscribe. You're on that side. There we go. I'm always like, which side is it? I can't tell. Okay, so what is it that you would like to talk about today?
I thought we would talk about dishonesty in religion. And part of the reason I wanted to bring this up is because it is a topic that I talk about some in the video that I just put out. And by the way, if when you do see that video, there's a couple minor technical issues with that video. One was I've been trying to get the mic closer to my mouth so that the audio quality is better. But what I didn't realize that is if I just barely touch the mic stand while I'm doing, it comes out like a bong, bong, bong in the, and you can hear that throughout. And I'm actually just barely even touching the mic stand. And so I'm going to have to find another way I'm going to have to get the mic off of the table that I've got the computer on so that my hands don't come anywhere near it when I'm gesturing and so forth.
Gesticulating. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a couple of spots where the audio and the video are out of sync. And I was working on that, and I had so many technical problems with this one. And I originally uploaded it, and it took me 12 hours to upload the original. And I got it out just a little after midnight on December 24th and premiered it the morning of Christmas Eve. And it was a disaster because there was one thing in it that was, just horrendous. So I deleted that one and I re-uploaded it. And I got the new upload up a little after midnight on Christmas Day. And I released that one immediately because there's a line in that one where I say, if you're watching this and it's past Christmas, you're late. And it doesn't make much sense to put that up and post it the day after Christmas.
It would make for a pretty funny thing, though. It's just like uploaded after Christmas, and then it's all like, you're late. It's like, we couldn't watch it until now.
Yeah, so I went ahead and uploaded it, even though there is that one section where it's slightly out of sync, because I had to get it out before Christmas was over. So that one is up. Oh, and thank you, Inquisitive Quandary, for posting the link to that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I talk about in that video is that I think that John Piper is truly believing that he is honest with people. I think that, he truly believes that not only is this true, that he is being genuine in what he says, and yet when you examine it, when you look at the different things that he says in different places, it's not, there is no way that you can honestly believe both of these things. And yet I think that he actually thinks that he can be. He just calls them tensions and basically puts it in the category of, well, I don't quite totally understand this, but one day God will explain it to me. And I understand that perfectly because I was there. Anytime I came to something that just could not be reconciled, I just said, I don't understand it, but I know it's true. And one day God will explain it to me. And so for that reason, I really do think John Piper is genuine. Now I could be wrong. It could be that he's just a really good imposter.
Just a great grifter.
But that's, one of the reasons I think that is I know that Piper has written a lot of books. He gets a lot of money from speaking, and
Mhm.
from what I hear, if what I hear is truthful, he gives almost all of that away. He lives very
Mhm.
simply, and he gives away millions, to support the poor, to support missionaries, to support things that he believes in.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why I think he's genuine. Which leads us to the other person I wanted to talk to, who is exactly the opposite, which is Ravi Zacharias.
Yeah, and it came out recently about the allegations and the investigation and into, like, sexual abuse and sexual misconduct and stuff, right? Like, that's just ugh. So I know there's an article that I'm gonna follow along with, so I'm gonna do this and move that over. Ah! Where did it go? There we go. Just so I can look at both at the same time. That's
Just so you know, I'm junk shopping just a bit, and so every now and then you're appearing to freeze up, but I realize it's actually not you that's freezing up, it's me. So if you ask a question and I'm hesitating, it's probably because I haven't heard the whole question yet,
yeah,
or I'm
and
not sure if you're finished.
it's also possible that my internet is also kind of terrible because, I'm on Wi-Fi, I'm not directly plugged in,
Mm,
and I don't know if my roommate is currently playing WoW or not, so it's probably both. So if
okay.
this whole thing freezes, we'll figure it out, we'll figure it
Yep.
out.
Yep. We'll just keep going.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, yeah, junk shop is here. He says junk shopping, LOL. So anyway, yeah, the whole thing with Ravi Zacharias. Hemet Mehta is the one that really brought it to my attention. He's got something on his website. He's got a video on this, and I'm going to read a little bit here from his website
Mhm,
about what has gone on with Ravi Zacharias. Let me give you a little background first, in case you don't know who Ravi Zacharias is. Ravi Zacharias is a pastor. He comes off as being really intellectual and deep.
mhm,
And he was one of the people I know his church was in Atlanta, Georgia, or I shouldn't say in Atlanta, but he was near Georgia. And I had a lot of respect for him when I was a believer. I read a couple of his books, and I just thought he was one of the most intelligent people I had ever encountered. He seemed to have an answer for everything. Um, well, here, I'll go into what Hemet Mehta says about him, because Ravi Zacharias died in May,
mhm,
and after his death, a lot of things have been coming out about him, showing that he's really kind of a fraud and a charlatan. Some
mhm,
of this came out before he died, and here's what Hemet said. The apologist Ravi Zacharias was guilty of sexual misconduct and more. That is based on a preliminary investigation underwritten by the Ravi Zacharias International Ministries. So his own people found that that this is true. So it's not a smear campaign. It says, in case you need a refresher, shortly after Zacharias died in May, with Vice President Mike Pence speaking at his funeral, former workers at two of the health spas owned by Zacharias spoke of him being sexually out of control with female therapists over whom he had professional power. An investigation by Daniel Silliman at Christianity Today had three women on record saying that Zacharias touched them inappropriately, exposed himself, and masturbated during regular treatments over a period of 5 years. One woman said that he had masturbated in front of her over 50 times, in addition to propositioning her for sex. When that article came out, the people running the ministry said that they would hire lawyers to investigate, and they did. I'm skipping down a bit. If anything, the full story may be even worse. While some of the massage therapists that we've tried to interview are not willing to share their experiences with us, this is from the investigation report. Many have spoken candidly and with great detail. Combining those with interviews with review of our documents and electronic data, we have found significant credible evidence that Mr. Zacharias engaged in sexual misconduct over the course of many years. And some of this misconduct is consistent with and corroborative of that which is purported in the news recently, and some of the conduct we have uncovered is more serious. Our investigation is ongoing, and we continue to pursue leads.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And Hemet Mehta points out, he says, remember, Zacharias has been lying about his credentials for years. A few years ago, they realized that he claimed that he had multiple earned doctorate degrees, which he did not. He had affiliations with prestigious universities, which he didn't. And he claimed honorary titles, which he didn't have. He always called himself Dr. Zacharias, and he was not. He had no doctorate degree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a common theme.
Mm-hmm.
With they're either complete malarkey, or they're from unaccredited universities that hold like no weight. That it's like you can't,
like Hovind.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that guy. Oh, Kent. Oh.
He got his doctorate from a university that's located inside of a trailer.
Right. Like just in this parking lot. Oh my God, that's the best.
And then there's the guy that also was recently discredited, the president of Liberty University, Falwell, Jerry Falwell Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're apparently having a really hard time. Like the board of trustees is having a really hard time trying to figure out what to do with all of the stuff that he did, especially with this Center for God and Country and Liberty or something like that. I don't know. The Liberty University, like it was a think tank that Falwell Jr. co-founded with Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm. And he essentially poured Liberty University funds into this think tank and spread, ads on Facebook, like at least $50,000 worth of ads on Facebook into specific Republican candidates. And that definitely ties into the whole, hey, you're being super dishonest because you're not supposed to do this. And you're saying like, oh, it's totally fine. No, it's not. It's not. And, oh God, this Ravi Zacharias stuff though, it's like, I mean, on one hand, it's not like not surprised but disappointed, and I feel like that's definitely a common theme in a lot of this stuff. Like.
One thing that, that kind of boggles my mind is religious leaders run the gamut. There's the people like Hovind, which are just complete idiots that even a child can see through. And then there's the people like Copeland and Paula White Cain that are just, they're outright charlatans, and people love them for it. And I'm scratching my head as to, I call Paula White Cain the fortune cookie lady, because 90% of the advice that she gives and the things that she tweets sound like something you would pull out of a fortune cookie.
Right. It's that like fake, like, what is the Deepak Chopra ism stuff where it sounds like it's super deep, and then it's like this is about as deep as a creek in Central Texas, which is not very deep. It's just not. Yeah. So I was going to and strike. Oh, and strike and strike and strike and strike. Yeah.
I just pulled up her Twitter, and here's her latest tweet. When God is for you, it doesn't matter who is against you. You will prevail. That's what I'm talking about. It sounds like you pulled that out of a fortune cookie. Now, most fortune cookies aren't going to have the God part, but you actually can buy Christian fortune cookies, and they even have that part in them. And some of
Really?
them, yeah, and some of them don't even have the God part. Because here, this is 2 hours ago. When someone cannot see your greatness, they will respect your value. Fortune cookie,
Yeah,
do
that's
something so
very.
different today that your tomorrow must respond. I swear, I think she just buys boxes, bags of fortune cookies, opens them up, and that's what she tweets.
I mean, at least then she's got something to munch on while she's tweeting.
There
And
we
she's like, "Hey, it's like two things in one. That's good." Yeah,
go.
I think I had I had done a deep dive on Paula White a while back about how she just was she robbed people blind.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she like would just take like basically fund, do the whole preacher thing and fund her
Mhm.
lifestyle from the church
Well, yeah.
money. And she like
Yeah, they all do that.
yeah, one of the churches had shut down because it was like so far behind on like property taxes and utilities and stuff. Like they got there. I'm please correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, because I don't want to say something that's wrong, but I feel like, hey, what are you doing? What? Why? That's unnecessary. So unnecessary. Good? Good?
He just wanted to comment.
Exactly. Stanley is like, I think they're charlatans too.
That's right.
But I feel like I remember that allegedly, and you can say anything you want as long as you say allegedly, right? Like they got there and the church was basically just like not boarded up, but like had
Mm,
like notes
mhm,
on it and stuff. They're
mhm,
all like, hey, you didn't pay your stuff, so
mhm.
this is not your property anymore. Like it got like repoed or something. And it's just,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. And this I think I'm
And
still like in a mild state of disbelief, but not real disbelief at the Ravi Zacharias stuff, because when you present yourself as this like man of God and you're trying to drive people in the right direction and doing what you think is right, you're doing stuff that you obviously think is wrong because you don't want people to find out.
yeah, yeah. Now there's two different things that could be going on here. One is it could be that it's a complete charade. That, hey, I do this because this is how I make my money, and I'm good at it, and people believe me. And boy, if I got them fooled, that's one possibility. Another possibility is complete self-deception. That,
Mhm.
okay, yes, this is my weakness, and yes, I shouldn't be doing this, but God will forgive me. And it's
Mhm.
there's so many Christians that feel like, well, of course I'm not perfect. God's forgiven me, but at the same time they tell you what a horrible sinner you are.
Right. Like and they tell atheists the only reason that you're an atheist is because you want to sin and stuff like that. And it's just not like you can't threaten me with sin.
But actually, maybe we should threaten them right back and say, well, the only reason that you're a believer is so that you can sin knowing that you get forgiven all the time.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
At
That's
least I'm going to pay for my own sins. You just get forgiven, so you get to do whatever you want.
right. Right. Yeah. And that really does go into all of the like just the overall theme of the dishonesty in it. It's
Mhm,
it is definitely the rules for thee but not for me
mhm,
sort
mhm.
of thing. And do you so as silly of a question as this is because I realize, we're both atheists and we've both come out of the faith and we're both sort of like, yeah, religion. Do you have a favorite preacher and or pastor that you're just like, I know you're full of shit, but God damn it, I find you entertaining. Do you have anybody who's like that? Just threw you a curveball there.
Yeah. Not that I can think of offhand, but I'll keep the question in mind as we go along and see if I come up. I guess I would have to say that the most entertaining thing that I have seen recently was definitely the debate on Math Pig's channel between Godless Engineer and Dr. Josh against G-Man, and I don't remember, something that started with a V. I wasn't really familiar with these guys.
Yeah.
But I just was blown away that these guys say that it is okay for people to own people. There is nothing morally wrong with slavery.
Yeah, that is, and then they make the distinction of, oh well, no, it's like biblical slavery is totally different from, you know, chattel slavery, and it's like, it's still owning people.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, one of the biggest moments was when Godless Engineer read a passage straight from the Bible as to how here Junk Shop has it up. Veckel is the other guy's name. You know, Godless Engineer read this passage from the Bible about what you're allowed to do as a slave owner, and it was either G-Man or Veckel was saying, well, you're just misunderstanding the Bible. You're not, you don't understand what's in the Bible, and you're getting it all wrong. And I just read it for you, you know?
Yeah, it's like, how much context do you need in order to like see that this is what's cat? God, come here. All of the furry things today are just wreaking havoc on my stream. You're usually fine. What's going on? Like how much context do you need in order to finally say, no, this is wrong? Like it shouldn't be. It's, you know, it's that cognitive dissonance of, you know, because the Bible says it's fine, I'm going to say that it's fine, but it's wrong. Well, yes, it's wrong, but it says it in the Bible. Well, if it says it in the Bible, then it's fine. It's like, oh no, it's cognitive dissonance, and it's like you're lying to yourself. Like they're lying to themselves when it comes to that sort of thing.
And that's when you get to the point where you have to just say, well, you know, I don't understand it, but one day God will explain it to me.
God will give me the discernment,
right,
in order to understand. And I used that term. We were on Periscope last night. I used that term, and I was just all like, why is it's always a problem with the person not understanding rather than the word of God not being clear?
Well, of course, because God is infallible. And we know God is infallible because the Bible says so.
Exactly.
And we know the Bible is true because the Bible says so.
Yeah. I mean, it all makes total and complete sense if you're lying to yourself. If and only if. So, I want to make sure, let me actually, before I forget, because I know you talked about the John Piper video, let me link that in the, oh, that's going to automatically play. I don't think you can.
You could do it after.
Yeah, well, I wanted to like link it in the thing.
Inquisitive Quandary has already linked it in the chat.
Oh, he linked the video itself? Because I know he linked. I know he linked.
He linked my channel, but I think he linked the. I'm not sure. Maybe he just linked the channel. But anyway,
we'll do it again anyway, because there is the video for y'all.
Sure okay, very good.
In there, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I want to make sure people watch the video instead of like talking about that here.
But because it's already after Christmas, you get a granny frown for watching it after Christmas.
You had to watch it on Christmas in order to actually pass the approval.
Right. There are a very select few that saw it on Christmas Eve with
Mhm.
the original video as it went up before I took that one down and fixed it and put up the second one.
But, yeah, I'm very excited to watch this one because, I mean, I'm always excited to watch, like, friend of the channel's videos, so I'm always all like, "Yay!" Um, yeah, so you had mentioned, you had found an article, I think it was probably on Friendly Atheist, about there was
Mhm.
a pastor that got, like, the how much in the PPP loans, and it got charged. Was it the
Oh,
Canadian one?
let's see.
Looking.
Um,
Let's see. Yeah, because this one is like this to me. So I mean, I'll let you do the basic background of the one that is proper, the proper thing, because that's not it, because that's like $100,000.
here it
I don't
is.
know.
Yeah, a church facing $1 million in COVID fines received over 340,000 in PPP loans. Sorry, loans.
Oh, there we
Yeah. Uh-huh.
go.
Calvary Chapel in Calvary Chapel, San Jose. Pastor Mike McClure was bragging in May about how God doesn't want people to isolate themselves and they were not following COVID restrictions. And so the church was fined more than $350,000 for violating that law, but the church never paid up. So lawsuit was filed and the court demanded that it was shut down. The church still did not shut down, and now the fines are over $1 million.
This one, okay. So because I am diabetic, the COVID-19 stuff is a particularly heinous thing to me. Because it's just, yet again, it's just another way for them to be like, look at how, like, COVID-19 is totally not harmful at all, guys. God will help you and everything. It's totally cool. But it's just another way of them lying to everybody about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, and one of the things that I find so disingenuous is the what's the word I'm looking for? Strata of
Mhm.
the people, the religious people are all over. There's the one end where they're saying, just ignore it, it's all fake. There's the okay, it's not fake, it's real, but God will protect us people. There's the okay, it's real. We need to pay attention to the scientists and wear our masks and social distance people. They're just all over the gamut. And you would think that if they really were all listening to the same God, they would all be getting the same message.
Right. And it goes like it mild we, but that goes for everything that's in the Bible too.
Yes. Yes.
Like, that's just
Yes.
only mild we, because it all
Mhm.
ties back in.
And we were talking before the show about something that I saw on Sean McDowell's
Mhm.
Twitter, where he was saying that he felt that Christian apologists should be first in line to get the vaccine because, after all, they're the ones that are defending the faith. Because, of course, there is nothing more important than the faith. I suppose that means that, if everybody's dead, it doesn't matter as long as they're just believing. And sincerely, that is what they think.
Mhm.
As long as you believe, nothing else matters and life doesn't matter. And yet they're the pro-life people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't call yourself pro-life and then be so like Yeah, we're gonna risk everybody's lives in order to exercise our religious freedom, but
Mhm.
nobody's stepping on your religious freedom. You still have the right to believe what you wanna believe, and asking you to, like, socially distance and maybe go to, like, do home church and internet church, it's not a bad thing. Just give a
Oh,
shit about your fellow people. Like, I don't understand the complete and total lack of empathy.
my brother sent me something that was absolutely hilarious that really goes along these lines. It'd take me a few seconds to find
I
it.
had a bad feeling for a second there. Usually when it's like a family member sending an atheist something, it's just all like, "Oh, no."
Oh, no, most of my family are atheists. I was the exception in being a Christian
Uh-huh.
until recently, and now that I've flip-flopped and gone to being atheist, now I'm with the majority of the family, and it's only a small minority that is ticked off.
Oh,
But
that's
anyway,
cool.
this is, my brother sent me this. This is from Sutter Creek. Freedom to not wear a mask. Welcome to the Freedom Cafe. We trust that as you make your own choice, we trust you to make your own choices if you want to wear a face mask. And in the same spirit of individual liberty, we allow our staff to make their choices too about the safety and procedures that they prefer to follow as they prepare and serve your food. We encourage employees to wash their hands after using the bathroom, but we understand that some people may be allergic to certain soaps or may simply prefer not to wash their hands. It is not our place to tell them what to do. We understand that you might be used to chicken that has been cooked to 165 degrees and may have seen a meme or a YouTube video saying that 100 but you may have seen a meme or a YouTube video saying that 100 degrees is fine, and we do not want to encroach on their beliefs. Some servers may wish to touch your food as they serve it. There is no reason that a healthy person with clean hands can't touch your food. We will take their word for it that they are healthy and clean. Water temperature and detergent are highly personal choices. We allow our dishwashing team to decide how they prefer to wash the silverware that you will put in your mouth. Some of you may get sick, but almost everyone survives food poisoning. We think you'll agree that it's a small price to pay for the sweet freedom of knowing being told what to do, and especially not for silly reasons like keeping strangers healthy.
Oh my god. That's amazing. That's the best. Oh my gosh. I love that. Uh, because it's so true, like, it's so applicable. Like,
Mhm.
oh my god, people, what are you doing now? This is the most you have interrupted me, like, ever. Why do you do this to me? No, no, no. Cats, come here. I know I'm cat handling you. Yeah. So, uh, the there's so many ways. Like, I know the overarching sort of theme today is like dishonesty in religion and stuff, and there's just so many ways that, like, everything is so just they're just bullshitting everybody. And I
Mhm.
feel like that is it's a common theme in, you know, just every single religion realistically and every single denomination and everything. But, you know, I think especially with, and this is something that always sort of is something that I think about, is with the different translations of the Bible and how different churches preach from different translations and, different, just oh, this is the one true version, and this is the actual word of God and everything like that. You really have to shake the whole thing. Right, you're good.
And as I point out in my video, even Piper admits that we don't have the actual words of Jesus. We just kind of have the gist of what Jesus said.
Right, yeah. Like, and what what's sometimes, well, all the time really gets me is how they use the different translations and the different interpretations, especially, I mean, obviously, especially pastors and preachers and stuff, because they are ultimately sort of responsible for, broadcasting the message of their interpretations. They've convinced people that this is what it means and this is how you should live your life. And then people take that, they take that not to, intentionally say this, but they take it as gospel, obviously, because they're thinking, this is what the preacher is saying. This is how I need to live my life. So I'm going to go out. Really? Why do you do this to me?
That brings us to one of the worst sermons I ever heard when I was a believer.
Ooh.
And Susan, I know this is probably going to trigger you, so
Oh, no.
Be warned. But let me see if I can find the Bible verse that it was on. There's a verse in the Bible talking about women shall be saved through childbirth.
Oh, no.
And that is one of the most confusing verses in the Bible. And pastors always have to find a way to explain it away because obviously salvation for women isn't through childbirth. It's 1 Timothy 2:15. And what 1 Timothy 2:15 says is, but women will be saved. Just a minute, my computer jumped. There we go. But women will be saved through childbearing if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with propriety. And I had a pastor give a sermon where he was trying to explain what this believes, what it means. And he gave 4 different possibilities. And the one that he went with was that he believes is that through childbirth, women are saved from worthlessness. Now, at the time, I went to a very small church. There were only about 35 people in the whole church. But one of the women there I knew was not able to have children.
Oh.
And so I talked to the pastor privately afterward, and I said, realize you just told her that she's worthless.
Right.
And he said, well, maybe that wasn't the best choice of words. And he left it at that, You
could have gone with any of the other 3 possible explanations that you had. You could have expounded on so many other ones, and you decided to go with the one that if
women don't have children, they are worthless.
That is so ridiculous.
I never liked this pastor. We didn't go to this church all that long. I had a baby while we were attending this church, and I would not let that pastor do the child dedication of my baby.
Oh, wow.
I felt that strongly about, you think girls are worthless. I am not going to let you dedicate my female child to the Lord, that you think is worthless.
Yeah. And that's, oh my God. It's teaching people, especially young women, it's teaching them something that is blatantly not true.
Well, they sincerely believe that, a woman's place is to stay home and bear children and raise children, and that's their purpose, and that's what God has for them.
So they were very Lori Alexander about it.
Oh, yes, very much so.
Oh, God.
I once had a talk with the pastor's wife, and I got a real insight onto how women can be, I don't want to say fooled, but why they go along with this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the pastor's wife was telling me that when she was growing up, all her growing up years, her mother told her, no one will ever marry you. You aren't pretty enough. Nobody will ever want you. And so when this pastor showed an interest in her and wanted to marry her, she married him. And the fact that he thinks that other than having children, that she's worthless, that's still a step up from you are completely worthless and nobody wants you.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Like the bar is so low that you have to limbo. Like
exactly.
still.
Exactly.
Oh my
And,
God.
that is why I troll John Piper's Twitter page, because this is the mindset of the Calvinist, is that
Mhm.
all human beings are worthless.
Mhm.
All humans deserve nothing but eternal torment. And those few of you that are lucky to be the elect, you should be so grateful and loving towards your God that saved you, because the rest of those poor souls didn't get chosen, and you count God.
Mhm.
And one of the things I keep asking his followers is, why do you think humans are worthless? Well, because without God, we are all worthless.
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, what if there was no God? I mean, I realize in the grand scheme of things, we are but a blip in the universe, but that still doesn't mean that we're worthless.
Mhm.
It's just, it's a lie that religion tells. I mean, especially with the Calvinists, it tells everybody that
Mhm.
everybody is worthless. But
Exactly,
when
and
it
you're born that way.
yeah. It's like the original sin thing.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
unbaptized babies don't go to heaven and shit like that. It's like, come
Mhm.
on. Come
Mhm.
on. They're babies.
Well,
Oh,
actually, the Calvinists would go even further,
oh,
because they don't baptize babies. Um,
really?
yeah, that you don't get baptized until after you baptism is only for believers. So you have to accept Christ before you can be baptized.
So what they're
Um,
usually like 5 years old then and professing their faith and stuff like that.
Usually more like about 9 or 10, because you have to have a sufficient understanding of what it means to be a sinner. You have to confess that you are a sinner, and that you realize that there is a penalty for your sin, and you are accepting the free gift that Christ has given you in forgiving you your sin.
Mhm.
So no, you're usually 9 or 10, and anyone that dies, and that is the point where I usually pick at Calvinists, because if you ask them, do you really think that you are worthless? They will say, absolutely, yes, I am totally depraved. But talk about their children. Are your children unworthy of love? Are your children worthless? Usually that gets them to stop and think. 'Cause
Yeah.
they'll say, "No, my children are not worthless. My
Mm.
children are not unworthy of love."
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's usually a way to sort of make them see how their logic is so faulty. Like
Mhm,
it's so flawed. And when people start thinking about the ways that their mind has sort of been warped into thinking, excuse me, and believing that I'm worthless, and if I'm a woman, then I'm worthless if I don't have children, and well, I mean, like, women in general just get the whole, you're responsible for sin, and you're punished by childbirth, and you're unclean and stuff like that.
I have lots of answers to that one.
To the unclean part.
No, to the women are responsible for sin. 'Cause go
Ooh.
back and read Genesis. God
Mhm,
told Adam not to eat from the tree
mhm.
before Eve was created. Eve never got the message.
Huh.
And that's why when God comes, he does lay the blame at Adam's feet, not Eve's. It's because Eve didn't get the message, Adam did. And some say, well, Adam wasn't there. Oh, go back and read it again. It says Eve ate the fruit and then gave it to her husband, who was with her. He's standing right there.
He was the one who knew,
He's
so
the one
it's
that
all
knew, and he didn't say anything.
damn you, Adam.
So don't
Oh
try to
my
blame
god.
it. I don't like to throw the blame at Eve's feet.
Yeah, and, like,
And
we're taught so many, and obviously we're taught things that are entirely wrong. We're taught, that these lies, and we're convinced of these lies that we're, that we're less than, that we're unworthy, that we're not enough. And we see that with people coming out of religion and, having to struggle with so much of the feelings of worthlessness and the feelings of abandonment.
And I want to address the chat. Lone Wanderer, you absolutely are not worthless.
Oh, no, no.
You
Lone, you
are a worthwhile person, and anyone who tells you otherwise can go to hell, literally.
Agreed. Agreed. Lone is genuinely one of my favorite people.
She gave me the green screen that's behind me.
Nice. That's rad. Ours is not stellar right now, but it's also not technically being used. So yeah, like religious brainwashing in general, it like I've said, ties back into this overarching theme of all of this stuff that you're taught that is just not true.
Mm-hmm.
Like
one
sorry,
of the things that I've started developing, and I've never heard anyone make this argument before, and I am not a particularly intelligent person, so if nobody's making this argument, there's either a flaw in it somewhere, or I don't know. And I've asked Brainbug to help me with a little bit, because it depends on insects. And that is, if what the people at AIG and a lot of others say is true, that when God finished the creation, there was no death. Until the fall, there was no death.
mm-hmm.
God depended on sin for creation to exist,
Mm-hmm.
because the insects would have taken over in a matter of months. One of the things I did ask Brainbug was, if none of the insects were dying in this world, what would take over? And he said, no question, hands down, the army ants, because army ants are terraformers.
Mm-hmm.
They change. And so I looked up at what rate do they reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
Army ants lay 800 eggs per day, and they normally have a life cycle that's only like 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they lay so many eggs. But if there's no death and there's 800 more ants every day,
Oh God,
it would only take a matter of months before the army ants would have completely destroyed the garden.
Right.
And God called that good?
Oh my God. Oh
You know,
no. Oh
yeah,
no.
the entire plan depends on sin. If there's no sin, the world would have been destroyed.
Yeah. I have never thought of it that way. Also, hard disagree on you not being an intelligent person. Hard disagree. Just so you know.
I put myself in the average range. I know a lot of people that are just way smarter.
I think you need more people telling you how smart you are, because you are a very smart person. You very much need that, because you are. So
thank you.
Yes. Yeah. So just the general, I think the gist of religion in general is, let's see what we can get people to believe. And I mean, granted, I I was never a hardline mythicist. I was never just all like, no, Jesus doesn't exist. Is Bible, throw it out. I've never been like that. I was always sort of like, I don't know about the Bible, but I was never like hardline, like, no, he doesn't exist. I have since come around, because Nathaniel has done, a number of videos and stuff on the existence of a historical Jesus and stuff. And Jesus as a person, if you look at the actual words of Jesus, especially in, the like actual words, not like super Jesus like he is in John, Um, the actual words of Jesus are so, like, they're very encouraging.
Mhm,
It's very
mhm.
much like, the typical love your neighbor, help the poor, Jesus loves the little children, let the children come to me, blah 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 blah. But once people started saying things basically on behalf of Jesus and behalf of God, which, I mean, granted, on behalf of God was, all the way at the beginning of the Old Testament. Once they sort of started bastardizing the words and the message, it just turned into all of this awful stuff
Mhm,
based, like, the whole thing just is based on this bastardization.
mhm.
Damn you, Paul. Saul of Tarsus.
I want to address something that Lone Wanderer said. Lone Wanderer said, "I love you guys for giving me that confidence boost. Also, send atheist prayers as I am looking after 3 children under 13 from 7 p.m. tonight. As the deaconess of doubt, I bestow unto thee from the powers of doubt and atheism to be able to care for and entertain these children to the best of your ability." There you go.
I love it. I love it. And I do love this other thing that she said too. You're wiser than me when it comes to
That's
biblical.
yeah, that is something. Now, I was a church librarian,
Mhm.
and I built a church library from scratch. And as such, I went to church librarians conferences several years in a row. So I was very familiar with who was writing what. I bought a lot of books. I read a lot of books. And so even though I do not have any formal Bible study, I have read, I've read Packer, Sproul, Knoll, Piper. I've read probably a dozen of Piper's books. MacArthur, Grudem. I've read so many, and McDowell was the basis of what started me, and of course, C.S. Lewis, and so even though I never had a formal teaching, I've read all the stuff that everyone says.
Yeah, and I think that's ultimately what is incredibly important is, you know, reading all of it and trying your best, when and granted when you're a Christian, it's easier to come at it from a place of understanding and trying to understand their message and where they're coming from and stuff. But I think it's also important for atheists to do the same thing.
Mhm,
Granted, again, I don't entirely practice what I preach because most of my knowledge I just glean from Nathaniel because he's the one who reads all of this stuff. So it's like, I mean, I know some stuff. I don't know. But it's important to know what sort of message is being delivered on behalf of Christianity
mhm.
because it's even whether or not you believe that Jesus existed, which I mean he totally did. um Jesus as whether he's just a man or if he's some kind of actual religious figure and did all this crazy shit, Jesus is arguably the most influential person in our society.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
we like, just all of that stuff just permeates.
Well, here is a couple of things. First of all, religion started so that people could explain things that they were not able to understand. And so that's where it started. And then it kind of evolved from that into once they explained death and started finding comfort in that, there's going to be an afterlife, and don't worry about death, and don't worry about your loved ones that have died because you're going to see them again. That comfort has become so permeable into society that that is the one thing that's hard to give up.
Mhm.
Um, and I can understand that. But on the other hand, I also see that as being an extremely dangerous thing Because if you're living your life with the whole view that, what I do here really doesn't matter. It's the next life that's important, and that one's for eternity, and this one is temporary. And so if I don't fulfill my dreams, it doesn't matter. I can fulfill my dreams there. If I don't find happiness here, it doesn't matter. I'll be happy there. If I don't try to be the best person I can be here, it doesn't matter, because I can do that there. And that is the reason that I find religion so dangerous. And
Mhm.
that is why my theme is live your life.
I like
Um,
that.
because you need to live this life. It's the
Mhm.
only one you know that you have.
Right. Yeah, there's a podcast that I always talk about that I'm an avid listener of called How to Heretic. That's a bunch of it's 3 ex-Mormons, and they talk about, stuff with the Bible and stuff with Mormonism and stuff. And they say at the beginning of every show, um, you only get one life that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Mhm.
That's, that goes hand in hand with yours, and I love that. I love that so much. It definitely it's a very, very good way of looking at things. Make sure you get your fulfillment, because this is all we know.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So, well, we're coming up on an hour. Um, do you have any closing thoughts on, I guess, the overarching subject of, how flipping not just terrible but dishonest religion is in general? Have any closing thoughts?
I think that I would give as a closing thought, if you're a believer and you're still trying to hang on to this idea because it makes you feel good, think about really what is it that you're hanging on to it. Are you hanging on to something that makes you feel good and it doesn't matter whether it's true or not? Or can you find comfort in life, and can you find a life for yourself that's more honest, that's more
Mm,
intellectually honest than trying to hang on to something that just doesn't add up.
I like it. I like it. It's a better closing thought than I would have had. So I like it. Well, where can we find you? Where can just plug and shill, and where can we find and support you?
Okay, I have a YouTube channel. I'm Godless Granny. On Twitter, I am Kelly Pearsall 3. I have a Patreon page. I have a whole bunch of stuff on Teespring that is available, but unfortunately, I have not been able to figure out how to, when I make something new, how to put it into the store. And
Hmm.
so I've made things on 3 different occasions, and so it's rather difficult to find them. So I have a whole bunch of links to Teespring on most of my videos because I don't know how to link them inside of Teespring. And so you've got all the individual links. So yeah, there's Godless Granny stuff and there's Live Your Life stuff.
I like
Um, and then
it.
Tuesday at 7, I will do another live stream. And the theme is going to be Good Riddance 2020. And I don't know who's going to be on yet. I haven't even asked anybody yet, but it's just going to be chat and talking about what a horrendous year 2020 was.
That's definitely going to be a very, very lively discussion. That's for sure. You're not going to run out of stuff to talk about on that one
Oh,
at
yeah,
all.
that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Kelly. I really, really appreciate you. It was an
Thank you for
absolute
having
pleasure.
me.
Thank you so much. And thank y'all, everybody, for watching. I appreciate y'all as well. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You can support us on Patreon. All of the links are in the description below. We have a Discord. If you do Discord, you can join the Discord. It's a permalink, so it's always there. We have 20 people in our Discord right now, so yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thank y'all so much for joining us. Really appreciate you. Why are you doing that again? Why? Why do you do this to me? Wreaking havoc. I swear, this cat. All right. Well, thank y'all so much. Really appreciate